Okay. Hi everybody. So in this short video, we'll be discussing very basic about sulci, gyri, functional area of superolateral surface of cerebrum. Okay. Talking about surfaces of cerebrum, yeah, that's our brain having three surfaces. The one what you're seeing, which is extensively convex, yeah, which is in contact with calvaria of the skull, that is called as superolateral surface. The one which is coming medially, you all know we have two cerebral hemisphere. Yeah, the one which is taking a convex curvature is the superolateral surface. The one which would come medially is the medial surface, and the one which is facing below, that's the inferior surface. Okay, we are coming to this topic because this has come many times in your examination and very important also. Yeah, now if we'll see, you have understood that we have three surfaces of each cerebral hemisphere. You should also know that we have three poles. Okay, what are the poles? Here in the front we have frontal pole, just the below we have temporal pole, and behind we have occipital pole. Okay, also we have three important sulcus which would divide the entire cerebral hemisphere into four lobes. What do you mean by sulci and what do you mean by gyri? Any depression, yeah, that is the sulci. Any elevation, that's the gyri. Yeah, sulcus and the gyrus. Many when we talk in the term of sulci and gyri, right? So what are the three important sulcus which would be dividing the entire cerebral hemisphere into four lobes? Yeah, let us first see that the one what you're seeing here, yeah, this is only called as lateral sulcus. Lateral sulcus. Okay, I'll take it a little closer. Lateral sulcus. Now lateral sulcus has the stem. Immediately it divides into three rami. What is it? Anterior horizontal, anterior ascending, and posterior ramus. I hope you can all see that. Posterior ramus is kind of long. This is called as stem of the lateral sulcus, which divides immediately into anterior horizontal, anterior ascending, and posterior ramus. Ramus as in limbs, isn't it? Okay. Now this lateral sulcus is said to be also called as sulcus of Sylvian. The structures present within the lateral sulcus, coursing along the lateral sulcus, are two. Very important. It's an important spot also. That is, it has superficial middle cerebral vein and middle cerebral artery. I'll again repeat, superficial middle cerebral vein and middle cerebral artery. Now, what are you seeing? That this is anterior horizontal, anterior ascending, and posterior. Hence, the gyri which is being produced between these three are called as successively, respectively, it is called as, this is called A, I'm labeling, B, I'm labeling, C. A is nothing but pars orbitalis, below, right? Orbitalis. B is pars triangularis. C is pars opercularis. Learn it. Now this pars triangularis and opercularis is said to be the area of what, this B and C is said to be the area which has motor speech area, functional area. So this area is also called as Broca's area. Broca's area. Where is motor speech area? In pars triangularis and pars opercularis. Broca's area. Any lesion here will lead to motor aphasia. That means the patient will not be able to speak fluently, but he makes lot of sense. Yeah, it is senseful, non-fluent speech. Alright, fine. Now what else? This is one sulcus. Yeah, we also have another sulcus here exactly where 1 centimeter behind to the midpoint of frontal pole and occipital pole. Between these two we have a sulcus coming down till here, that is called as central sulcus. Central sulcus of Rolando, it's called. Central sulcus of Rolando. Central sulcus of Rolando. The sulcus just in front to it is called as Pre-central sulcus, and the sulcus behind to it is called as post-central sulcus. We'll come to that later in some time. We also have a very important sulcus exactly here. It will be more prominent medial surface, but still if you will be seeing exactly 5 cm above to the occipital pole, somewhere here you will be getting a small sulcus called as parieto-occipital sulcus. What is it? Parieto-occipital sulcus. Now these are the 3 sulcus which divides the entire cerebral hemisphere into 4 lobes. Can we learn on that? If you imaginarily draw a line which will be connecting the central sulcus to lateral sulcus, okay, and you draw another line which will be connecting the, what is the sulcus? Parieto-occipital sulcus. You extend it down to a notch. Can you see a small notch here? That is called as pre-occipital notch. It will be somewhere 5 cm in front to the occipital pole. If you draw an imaginary line like this and you also extend the posterior limb or the ramus of the lateral sulcus little behind, are you able to see we are having 4 lobes? Yeah, the lobe what you can see in the front is the frontal lobe. Let me tell you, frontal lobe is mostly motor in nature. Motor in nature. This is parietal lobe. It is mostly sensory in nature. We have temporal lobe which has mostly the auditory area, and we have occipital lobe which has only our visual area, right? Yeah, we'll talk first about this small lobe, so it is easy. We have a calcarine sulcus exactly from the pole, occipital pole, something like this. Calcarine sulcus, it's an axial sulcus, calcarine, which will be limited by a bow-like sulcus called as lunate sulcus. Can you see that? Calcarine sulcus and lunate sulcus. Yeah, on the walls of calcarine up to lunate sulcus we have primary visual area. Okay, area number 17. All these numbers I am not giving in this video, you please learn on your own. Yeah. Now primary visual area, where do we have it? We have it along the walls of calcarine sulcus up to lunate sulcus. Thereafter we have the secondary and tertiary area and tertiary visual areas. What do you mean by primary, secondary and all? Primary area is the one which receives or perceives the color, motion, shape, texture, size of any object. Like let's say I am seeing this mouse. I am just seeing that there is a black structure which is hard in consistency, yeah, and which is non-movable. That is all I know. But by the look of it, I am able to say it is mouse. Why? Because the secondary area is helping me to perceive the object based on my past experience. You understand? Primary area will only perceive the image, that's all. Secondary area, what is it doing? It is relating the image with our past experience. Alright? Fine. So that is about visual area. Where is it? In occipital lobe. Now we'll go to, what was this lobe? In front, frontal lobe. I told you frontal lobe is mostly motor, and already I have given you an idea about motor speech area, that is Broca's area, isn't it? Fine. Yeah, fine. So in front to central sulcus, the sulcus what I told you was precentral sulcus. Between these two sulcus, what is this gyrus called as? Precentral gyrus, that's it. Precentral gyrus is said to be the primary motor area. Primary motor area, area number 4, very very important. From this primary motor area only, what do we have? We have origin of pyramidal lobe, pyramidal tract. Yeah, pyramidal tract, that is cortico-spinal tract. Alright, fine. Primary motor area, where is it? In the precentral gyrus. Precentral gyrus. Where is precentral gyrus? The elevation between central sulcus and precentral sulcus. We also have one more sulcus behind, that is called as post-central sulcus. We will go to that later when we talk about parietal. Alright. All you need to focus on frontal lobe and the sulci and gyri present in frontal lobe. So I have told you about the sulci and gyri present here. Yeah, produced by which sulcus? Lateral sulcus. and you have understood the second one, that is precentral sulcus. Apart from it, we also have two horizontal sulcus. They are called as superior frontal sulcus and inferior frontal sulcus. Very easy. Superior frontal sulcus and inferior frontal sulcus, dividing the frontal lobe into three. What is it? Superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus and inferior frontal gyrus. There is a space, can you see there, in front of precentral sulcus. What is this area? This is only our premotor area. Premotor area, that's the association area, premotor area. From here only we have extrapyramidal tracts coming out, alright. Premotor area. Area number 6 it is said to be. Okay. Somewhere here in this zone, yeah, somewhere in the posterior aspect of middle frontal gyrus, we have an area which is called as frontal lobe, right? Frontal eye field, which will be controlling conjugation movement of our eyeball. Yeah, what is that called as? Frontal eye field. Yeah, frontal eye field. That is all about frontal lobe. I hope it is easy. We'll go to parietal lobe. What did I tell you? It is mostly what? Sensory. It is mostly what? Sensory. So what is this sulcus? What would you like to call behind to the central sulcus? Yeah, that is posterior central sulcus. Posterior central sulcus. What is this gyrus would you like to call? Posterior central gyrus. So posterior central gyrus is our primary sensory area. Area number 3, 1, 2. That is 3, 1, 2. All the sensations from the thalamus, that is thalamic radiation, carrying most of the sensations, isn't it? All that will go and relay in this area. What is that called as? Primary sensory area. Fine. In the parietal lobe, we also have an interparietal sulcus, which will be dividing the parietal lobe into superior parietal lobule and inferior parietal lobule. Let me tell you, superior parietal lobule is the area where we have something called stereognosis. Are you aware what is you remember S, superior, stereognosis, stereognosis. Have you heard of this term? Yeah, I am able to hold this pen with my closed eye and I am able to tell it is pen without seeing. Yeah, I am able to hold something and I am able to say, okay, this is something hard in structure, maybe it is a table. Okay, such sort of things. Yeah, I am able to hold some rubber, feather. I can tell, right, with my closed eye. That is called a stereognosis. If a lesion here, that will lead to a stereognosis. Understand? Fine. So that is it about. Fine. We'll go to the last lobe here, temporal lobe. We'll again have two horizontal sulcus. What would you like to call this as? Superior temporal sulcus and inferior temporal sulcus. Dividing the temporal lobe into what? Superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus, inferior temporal gyrus. In the superior temporal gyrus, very close to the lateral sulcus, we have primary auditory area and adjacent to that is secondary auditory area. Primary auditory area and secondary auditory area. Where do you get these primary and secondary auditory area? In superior temporal gyrus. What do you mean by primary auditory area? Primary auditory area will receive the sound. Yeah, whether it's a low pitch, high pitch. Yeah, that is all it will do. Male, female, all that. Yeah, we can just hear, receive the sound. But it is relating to whether it is your father, mother, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, based on your past experience. Alright? Based on your knowledge, based on your vision, all that, it is receiving it. So that is the secondary auditory area. Primary auditory area, very close to lateral sulcus, deep to it, we will not be able to see, but the area adjacent to it in the superior temporal gyrus becomes a secondary auditory area. That is it. I hope you understood most of, very commonly asked question it is, and you should know what are the functional areas related to it. Let me also give a small knowledge. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, let me also give you a knowledge about its blood supply. Here only I'll try to finish it. Okay, I told you there is an artery here. What was that artery I told you here? We have something called middle cerebral artery. Yeah, so entire superior surface is majorly supplied by middle cerebral artery. Yeah, it will be giving branches like this, supplying most areas except a small zone like this, a 2 centimeter radius small zone which will be going something like this. Yeah, this area alone will be supplied by anterior cerebral artery. Okay, anterior cerebral artery. Also the temporal pole is also supplied by anterior cerebral artery. Whereas this zone, what is it? Our occipital lobe is supplied by what? It is supplied by posterior cerebral artery. Posterior cerebral artery. Except in this pole, occipital pole, we have not only posterior cerebral artery, we also have anastomosis from middle cerebral artery. That is why if there is any injury to posterior cerebral artery, vision will be lost, I agree, but there will be macular sparing. Why macular sparing? What do you mean by macular sparing? We will have tunnel vision. Yeah, only in the center portion, if this is our eye field, only this portion we will be able to see. This portion will be totally blacked out. That is called as tunnel vision. Why so? Because the occipital pole is not only supplied by posterior cerebral artery, it also has an anastomosis from middle cerebral artery. Yeah, if there is an injury to anterior cerebral artery, what would happen, guys? Our primary motor area controlling head and neck and upper limb will be lost. So there will be paralysis in the opposite half of our head and neck and upper limb. Yeah, because only this zone, right? If you see the human body representation, the homunculus representation, head and neck, upper limb and the upper portion of the trunk is all controlled higher above. When you come downwards, I think I made a mistake, I'm sorry. Lower limb and the lower part of the trunk is more controlled at the higher level. Then at the lower level we have head and neck and upper limb representation of human body. So that will be lost. Same goes with sensation also. Yeah. Contralateral hemiplegia will be there, more affecting lower limb if anterior cerebral artery is affected. Contralateral hemiplegia affecting more of head and neck and upper limb portion, that is higher upper of the trunk, will be affected if there is a middle cerebral artery injury. Okay, fine. So that is it. I think I have covered majority of it. Please go through your textbook for your reference. Thank you. in Broca's area, motor aphasia. Yeah, what would happen there in Broca's